Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This game review for the mid-season finale of Awkward, Season 4, Episode 10, Snow Job. And, this episode was... wow. This episode was crazy, believe it or not. I mean, I've seen intense episodes of Awkward, but this episode really was crazy. It was, a little bit darker than previous episodes. There were some really big, reveals in this episode, which I wasn't expecting in this episode. There were some big reveals. We don't know everything yet, and I kind of like that because I thought this mid-season finale was good. It's technically two separate episodes. However, I like thinking there's one big episode, because it's the same title. So the mid-season finale, Season 4, Episode 10, Snow Job. And this episode is just, it really was just intense, and compared to last year's mid-season finale, which I also really did like, I thought they did a really good job of, you doing that one. This one was like 10 times better because we had a lot more going on in this episode, which I really enjoyed. So let's just get this episode because I overall really did enjoy it. So basically, this episode focused on the senior ski trip, the big senior ski trip that everyone's looking forward to. Hang on, guys, 1 second. Sorry, I'm getting my desk so it looks... okay, that's fine. So, there's this big, senior ski trip that everyone's looking forward to. That's pretty much the big activity that all the seniors are looking forward to. And Jenna is, she says it's more about hitting it than hitting the slopes. And, the second she says that, she sees Maddie making out with Eva. And her parents are making out with each other since they're chaperones. And her rents ask if she wants to sit by them, which she doesn't. And she and Tamara talk, and her boyfriend says she may blow chunks since this will make her car sick. So yeah, her boyfriend's coming as well, which that was kind of surprising that her boyfriend was coming, but I guess he can because there's no really rules of who you can and cannot bring. Of course, Valerie comes and says that they will have a great time, hashtag Greenland, since she's got a new social experiment. I thought that was really funny. She says she decided to override all rooming requests and has assigned them randomly. She says they need to break down weights and cliques because that helps fight bullying, and they know how she feels about bullying. A kid makes a noise, she calls him mouth breather, and says if he keeps interrupting her, she'll make his life a living hell. That was really funny. So, Jenna looks and sees they are in with Gloria. Now, Gloria kind of seems like she's going to be replacing Ming, because she is Asian like Ming. She kind of looks like Ming, and I don't know, she just reminds me like she's going to replace Ming, because I'm pretty sure they wanted to bring Ming back, but they just couldn't. So, I'm thinking they eventually will bring her back, but now they have this girl, so they're not going to bring her back. So, she's right behind them, as I said, and she tells them it's so easy to get labeled in the school, and Jenna says she knows because she was Suicide Girl, which is, that I like that they touch back on that. I always love that they touch back on that, because that's essentially what started this whole show, and it's pretty big. So, Gloria says she won't be in the room much anyway, since Snow makes her horny. That's really funny, actually. Tamara points out Eva's antics and calls her a desperate deviant. And Jenna forces a smile, and Tamara says Eva is still her problem. Of course, Jenna last week is still kind of, she's on to Eva. She's on to Eva. She can tell there's something screwy going on, something a little sketchy about her, definitely. She doesn't really trust her. However, for this, she kind of has to. And she doesn't want to trust her, but at the same time, it's really not her place, and she realizes that. And I like that Jenna has been like that this season. She knows when and when not to get involved. So Eva says she sure did. Then we see that Tamara is annoyed that Jake is full on flirting with Lissa, which I'll talk about later. But Sadie tells Maddie to unload Skank Eva so they can talk. She wants to ski Black Diamond, and he says that Eva is worried that he might have feelings for him. And he says he really loves her as a friend, says they need to communicate their feelings. Sadie goes screaming after Eva, yanks her braids. Val tries to stop it, and Sadie says that she started it, and Eva says she's sure she did. and Val says this is a case of the victim of violence blaming themselves and it won't happen on her watch. So she kicks Sadie off the bus, and they leave for the trip without her, which is really big because Sadie was defeated by Eva. Even though she wanted to help out Eva, she was defeated by her. Then Sadie goes into full-on Eva, she watches Jake, she goes into full-on, she's into full-on research mode, and basically, Jenna's parents try to get her to, we then see, that the bus gets to the mountains, and Jenna's dad asks if she wants to ski with him, and she says she would love to forget that they are there, because so far it's just causing her a bunch of problems. And Lissa then brings Tyler along, and he says his ski is Geestad, and she still doesn't get that he's not a poor peasant, and Tamara then heads off to ski, and Jenna says she's still working on her nerve, and Jenna is asked to move to the singles line, and Valerie asks if she wants to do a run with her, and the mountain mascot, and he croaks at Valerie, who tells him to keep his paws off her honeypot. Honestly, the Valerie stuff in this episode was really dumb, I'll say that. I didn't like the Valerie stuff in this episode. But, Sadie goes into full-on, let's find out stuff about Eva mode. She goes to Eva's with Sergio, of course, that guy that she does not like at all. She didn't like him at all, that was the guy that made a pass at her last week, and she got a problem with him. So I thought it was interesting to see him and her work together, but they have a lot of chemistry, so I'm kind of wondering if they are setting it up where that at the end of this season they are going to get together, because I don't know, they have a lot of chemistry. I'll say that right now. They have a lot of chemistry, even though she wants nothing to do with him, and she's being very passive about this. Like, she doesn't want to... I feel like she does have feelings for him, but doesn't want to admit it. That's how I feel about this. So, Maddie and Jenna ride up the slopes together while Luke and Eva ride together. And, Maddie says she has a problem with, Maddie asks if she has trouble. And Sadie gets a ride to Eva's from Sergio. And she tells him she's there for intel and tells him to stay in the truck. And she says it's not a good neighborhood for him. And Maddie says that Eva told him that Jenna accused him of having sex in her bed. He won't believe anything she says and tells her to back off. And that's huge because basically Eva's spreading shit about Jenna. She's making Jenna look like the bad one. She's making herself look like the victim, which is not good at all, of course. So Maddie pretty much doesn't believe anything Jenna is telling him. He's not listening to a word that she's saying because he is going by Eva's word, because Eva's his girlfriend now, and she's basically controlling him, which is terrible. She should not be doing this, but whatever. He's screwed, basically. So they then ring... So Luke says Eva seems pretty good for a novice, and she's not pleased that they were chatting so much. So Sadie rings the doorbell at Eva's, and here's the big part. This is the first big part of the episode. The housekeeper would tell Sergio to go pick up pick up dog poop or whatever, and do some other work. And Sadie thinks she's incredibly racist. And she says he's not a landscaper. He's a short order cook. And she says she's a fan of Eva Mansfield, which of course is Eva's name, we think. But then this woman comes down, and she's like, I'm Eva Mansfield. And this was, by the way, played by Lisa Rinna. So yeah, she's played by Lisa Rinna, but she says, I'm Eva Mansfield. And it turns out that that is huge. We knew that from the promo. Yeah, the promo spoiled it for us, unfortunately. But this girl has no idea what they are talking about. She doesn't know who they are. And she shows them fraudulent credit card bills and says the fake Eva is running up all her cards. Her real name isn't on there because she's just a juvenile, and the real Eva is outraged by this, which I thought that was very interesting, actually, the way that worked. Sorry, guys. I thought that was really interesting, actually, the way that worked. That we found out that Eva was lying this whole time. That's very, very interesting. I always thought there was something behind her stories. I'm like, seems like there's something more to this. So Maddie wants to go and sit on the sofa, but Eva says Jenna is staring daggers at her. He says she's being paranoid, goes to get them hot cocoa, spills it on herself, then accuses Jenna of spilling it on her. What a bitch. That's all I can say. What a bitch. she just blamed Jenna for something that she did, and just like, what a bitch. Maddie tells her to just stay away, and Luke asks if she's okay and says if she has stuff to do, work out with Maddie, he can go to school and do homework. And he's kind of fed up, which he does have a right to be, because I mean, when your boyfriend is there and you're if I was Jenna's boyfriend who's in college and didn't really care, and cared about her, ex-boyfriend drama and things like that, he's not like he doesn't care. It's that since they've been there, that's all she has talked about. That's all she's talked about, and it doesn't seem like she even wants him around. So he kind of feels like the odd man out here. I kind of feel bad for Luke in this episode. I mean, he's a really nice guy. He really is. He's a really nice guy. But the problem is, it was just the timing. She's so focused on uncovering these secrets about Eva that she's not even focusing on Luke right now, really, which is really sad. So Sergio then calls his dad for an assist, and Sadie says she owes him. Eva's real name, apparently, we find out her real name is Amber Horn from San Pedro, and Sadie says she's a textbook lowlife and calls her a road trip. So Jenna climbs in bed with Luke and then asks who's been in here, and she says Eva is mean with her again. Jenna comes in and yells at her about leaving condoms in her room, and Gloria says it was her, but Jenna says she told her she wouldn't be there. And the key party continues. Luke packs up and says he didn't drive 2 hours for psychodrama with her ex-boyfriend. And she says that's not what it is, but he leaves, unfortunately, which is really sad. And then this episode gets awesome, because Sadie gets out of the truck at Amber's, I should say, because now we know her name is Amber. And she tells her grandma she's a friend of Amber's, and her grandmother lets her in. And she says Eva is probably downstairs studying. They go in to look for Amber, and there are flies buzzing in the basement, and then they turn the lights on, and Sadie sees Amber's wall of crazy. She has pictures of literally all of them. It's very, very creepy to watch. It was just like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl? She is a nutcase. She's a nutcase, and Sadie calls her that psychotic bitch. That's what she says right there. So the key thing is in play, and Tamara's disappointed to find Jake and Gloria got 5 guys, which we'll talk about in a second. But Eva sees that Maddie is getting a call from Sadie, and she doesn't know who she doesn't know she's talking to Eva, and says that she's a compulsive liar and has to get away. Now Amber hangs up the phone and stresses, and Jenna tries to call Luke and says she's sorry and has to make up for him. He says he could be persuaded, and she asks for a moonlight stroll. So that's good, because I thought maybe they had a chance of getting back together. So Sadie calls Jenna and says that Eva's a liar and a psychopath. This is where the episode got awesome. I mean, I was just like, wow, this is such a great reveal. She's stabbed a kid in the face with a pencil and has been homeschooled alone by herself her entire life. She then tells Jenna to find Maggie because she called his phone and she couldn't get him. Eva, because Amber answered, and Jenna panics and Jenna knocks on the door to find Maddie, but can't get Maddie. She can get access to the room, but she can't find Maddie. Now, Luke is texting, asking where she is, and Jenna calls Maddie's phone, and she goes out, but Luke is gone, unfortunately, because she stood him up, she thinks. He pretty much thinks that she stood him up because of what she did, He pretty much thinks that she stood him up, and he's kind of upset about that. So he's upstairs packing, he pockets his phone, he puts his phone in his pocket, grabs his stuff. Jenna comes in, but he's gone, pulls off her jacket, and is frustrated. So the next morning, she's heartbroken by what happened about Luke, and she's mad at Eva. So she calls Luke, but gets a voicemail. She hangs up, goes to her bathroom for a shower, and she hears a noise, and then the door latch, and there's Sadie, who tells her that they have a lot of work to do. Jenna gets out of the shower. Sadie gives her the 411, says that Eva's real name is Amber Horn, and that she's from San Pedro, and it's all imaginary, and that she stabbed a kid in the face when she was 9. So Jenna says to dial back the bitchery, and they hear noise, and Sadie says there's a storm coming in as a bonus, and she tells her bundle up, and Sadie's furious that Amber got booted off the trip, and Jenna wakes up Theo and asks about Maddie and Eva. He says he was getting a blowjob out in the trees, and saw them headed up. She asked Cole, and he asks why she's creepy on them. She asks if they've noticed anything about Eva, and they say, oh, she's a compulsive bitch, and we know her secret. She asks why they didn't tell, and then say that Eva's genius, and they love to watch her stir shit up. So they just love to watch her start up shit. And her parents look at the storm, and he says he's going out to ski, and she says she'll go too. So, Sadie says that Eva ruined her relationship with Austin. I was very surprised she actually told Jen about this. You know what? I like seeing Jen and Sadie work together. I kind of have a feeling that they're eventually going to become friends. I mean, they, in this episode, were very close to becoming friends. I think they are going to become friends eventually. Because Maddie wakes Eva and says he wants to hit the slope. She asks if they can stay there all day, and that the Schaefers don't mind using her place. And she says she tried to be with the group, but they're so mean to her. She says she has something intense to tell him now that they're alone. Now, we think she's going to tell him, we pretty much think that she's about to tell him, some kind of lie or whatever. But basically, Sadie says Maddie's phone, is off, and she tells Jenna to try Eva. She refuses the call, and Maddie says he needs to text Jake, but says his phone is dead, and asks to use hers. She says hers is dead too, he can't find his charger, and she says she left hers in the lodge. She asks if they should go back, but Maddie says this is nice. Sadie then calls Sergio and asks him to trace Amber's phone with her GPS. He asks if she thinks he's a super spy, and she asks again, and he says he'll try, but she'll owe him. So, Lacey and Kevin come out to ski, but Lacey wants to find Jenna and Luke, and Valerie says, then we get this weird thing with Valerie, which I don't really want to talk about. It was just weird. She's sensing Jenna wants to be alone. So Sadie has to track Sergio sent, and she thanks him. He says to let him know when she's safe, because even though she acts tough, she's a fragile princess. She tells him to go fuck himself, and he laughs. They're at the house, and Sadie says she'll use Jenna as a human shield if Amber pulls a gun, because they don't really know what to think of Amber right now. They don't know if they should trust her. And Jenna goes to leave, and Sadie asks her to stay, and admits she kind of needs her there. And Jenna, if she's begging, she'll go, and Sadie says she's not. And you know what? I like that scene because it's kind of like, deep down, Sadie does care for Jenna. I think she really does care. And I think by the end of the season, they're going to actually be pretty good friends. They ring the bell, and Jenna tells Maddie about the whole truth. And Maddie says, oh, I already know about this. And I know she told me. And, they say, well, how can you live with her? And he says, well, she's my girlfriend. I care so much about her. And then we see Amber come over, and she says that she is pregnant. And that's huge right there. That is huge. If they would have ended the episode like that, I would have been satisfied. If they would have ended like that, I would have been satisfied. I mean, that was awesome right there. So basically, Amber asks them to leave, and Sadie says she minds and calls bullshit on the pregnancy because it's just like, everything Eva has said so far is complete bullshit, so why would they believe her about the pregnancy? It's just, there's no way that Eva was pregnant. I didn't believe the second of it. So Maddie says they need to go, and Amber tells him, and then, Amber says, you know what, they're probably about to tell me a lot of stuff about you, and I just want you to know the truth. Now, I didn't know if this was true or if she was lying. However, I will say this. The girl that plays Eva, her acting in this episode, very good. Very, very good acting. I like her character. It's not like I don't hate Eva's character. It's just that she's a bitch. But I think in this scene, what she said was the truth. She says how her parents abandoned her, and she lives in San Pedro. She says she just wanted to go to a good school. She says she wanted a chance to a better life. And Sadie asks to show him photos of Amber's room. And Amber tells her, good job on taking advantage of her grandmother. She says the kid she attacked in 4th grade was attacking her at the time. So Amber also tells Maddie that there's one thing she never lies about, which is her feelings for him. She really does care about Maddie. All of that's been true, and she wants him to know that she really does care so much about him. So then the lights go out the cabin, and Jenna tells Maddie that she wouldn't be there with Sadie if this wasn't important. She asks if he thinks she's really pregnant. Sadie grills Amber about her supposed pregnancy, and Maddie asks for a truce, and Jenna says she just wants him to be okay. Maddie says he needs to know if she's really having a child, having his kid, and they really don't know what to think at this point. So the bus leaves, and it's now the next day, basically, and they're out of the ski trip, and unfortunately, Jen's very worried, and apparently, she then gets in contact with Luke, who basically tells her that, she says she got caught up in the Eva mess, and he says he understands that she's in high school and has a lot of growing up to. He tells her to go do that, and he tells her she's a great girl, but says their timing is wrong, which is true. Their timing is just wrong with them. It's perfectly fine with them. I'm not upset with him breaking up with her, because he was very sweet about it. So then they have the one thing to find out, which is Eva telling the truth about this supposed pregnancy? Is she telling the truth about it? So Jenna comes up, she says Luke dumped her, and Sadie says she's sorry. She says Amber's taking the pregnancy test now, and Amber comes out with the test in hand, And Sadie says this will be the end of it, because Sadie's like, you know what, this is going to be the end of it, we have nothing to worry about, because Sadie does not believe that she's pregnant. But when Eva comes out of the pregnancy test, it says positive. So they're screwed now, because she wasn't lying about the pregnancy. She was not lying about the pregnancy, we know that now, and I'm pretty sure we can trust her now. I'm pretty sure that they've gone too far into this, and now they have the wrong ideas about her, and basically they're the ones to blame for this, really. I think they are the ones to blame, so it was very interesting with that plot. I love the main plot of this episode. Very, very interesting. Let's get to the subplot. Now, the subplot, not too much with the subplot. We had stuff with Tamara and Jake. Basically, Tamara and Jake are just getting a lot closer in this episode. We do see that Tyler and Lissa keep talking about how they're both just half-brother and sister. And Jake, Tamara is getting very close with Jake. It seems like they're becoming very good friends again, because Tamara gets jealous of Jake flirting with Lissa, so she decides to flirt with this guy Pete, who, of course, is one of the gay guys. Kind of funny. It's kind of funny. I thought that was funny, but that was very interesting. I definitely really enjoyed. I enjoyed that scene overall. And they're thinking that Lissa and Tyler are gonna hook up, and they keep saying, "Oh, we're not gonna hook up. We're not gonna hook up." And eventually, though, they end up kissing. So that is huge. I thought that was really big. I was not expecting that. So yeah, Lissa and Tyler end up kissing. And she tried to cover it up for being with Tyler by telling Jake she was all alone. And basically, that was really big in my opinion. I didn't expect that at all. But this finale was amazing. I love this finale. And I thought it was definitely a great mid-season finale. Now, there's a lot to think about now. Is Eva really pregnant? Yes, now we know that she is really pregnant. The other question I have is, do you think Jenna and Luke are going to have a future together in the future? I think in the future together, when the time is right, yes, they can be together. That's what I think. I think in the future, if the time is right, they can be together, and it's going to be fine for them. As far as Lissa goes, do you think her and Jake... I think Tamara and Jake are going to get back together. They've got very close in this episode. Tamara finally apologized to Jake for being this crazy bitch all this time, but she really hasn't been a bitch. She's just been sort of desperate, which is fine. But, that was definitely a very big scene. And this episode just really gave me everything I wanted from this show. It gave me a very interesting way to end the season. Very great finale. I didn't really like the other stuff in the finale, like with Val and with Jenna's parents. I just thought that kind of stuff was kind of stupid, and it's kind of unnecessary. Nothing I really need to talk about. But this episode is still the best episode of the season because of the main plot. Such a great cliffhanger. Such a great first half of the season. Overall, this first half of the season has been amazing. And the other thing I want to know is, do you think that Eva's lying about everything? Do you think that, do you trust her at this point? I really don't know. Do you think that Sergio and Sadie are possibly going to get together? I think they kind of are possibly going to get together. We'll have to see. And then as far as Lissa goes, do you think her and Tyler might start an incestuous relationship? Honestly, I thought that'd be kind of cool for the show. But I guess we'll just have to see what happens there. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. And my next review will be for the season finale of Fargo. So I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.